Yeah. So to start, I guess just go over some stuff about you. So first, can you guys each introduce yourself? Say your name, what you're majoring in, and maybe where you're from.
I'm Lee. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering, and I'm from the Edwardsville area originally.
Cool.
My name's Thomas Hagan. I'm a double E electrical engineering major. I'm pretty much from this area as well.
Yeah, so I guess to kick things off with the project, obviously you guys have done a lot of work for the MOOC, specifically the rocket courses. So how did you get your start with the project? Like, did you reach out to a professor, or did you already have connections there to get started?
I just saw an email that the engineering department had put out for a job posting for this position, and I just typed up a cover letter and sent him my resume and told the professor I was interested in the job, and I got an interview.
I heard about the job from Lee. Lee
I
Lee
recruited
texted,
him.
yeah, Lee recruited me. He texted me about an opportunity through the School of Engineering, saying how they needed a electrical engineering position student. So I applied, and then here I am.
Following on from that, was there anything specific that attracted you to this project as a whole, or anything that sort of inspired you to get started dealing with rocketry in general?
Growing up, I'd always messed with like Estes model rockets growing up. So, I just knew some basics. And then when I read the flyer even more about inspiring other kids to pursue careers in space, that kind of touched on me a little bit because when I was younger, I always thought rockets and space and doing all that stuff was neat. So I thought it'd be a fun project to, help inspire people after me to keep on continuing pursuing down that path.
So yeah, whenever I was a little kid as well, I have fond memories of like playing with like little rockets like that, things of that nature. And then whenever I sat down for my interview, I was talking with Dr. Sabi about like doing like radio communications for the project, and that was something that I did in the service. So like it was kind of like a cool continuation of my knowledge that I've had beforehand, and that how I could bring something to the table as well. So I was excited to try to share my knowledge and kind of use that experience to help me and the project out as well.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you guys have been very hands-on with the rocketry project so far in terms of the design and everything. I guess just overall, do you have any specific highlights and lowlights from the various rocket designs that you can recall? Some unique and difficult challenges you guys had to overcome, and some of your favorite moments from the project in general?
Starting out, when we were first starting to launch the rockets, the parachute wasn't deploying the way the original kit is supposed to deploy it. So it's deploying from the middle instead of the nose cone. And we kept having a problem at first where the parachute would get stuck up inside the body of the rocket after the reverse charge separated it. So we crashed a couple of times. So that led to a design change where we attached the coupler to the bottom of the rocket instead of the top. That way there's less area for the parachute to get stuck. And then just folding the parachute took a couple different ways of experimenting with to actually get it right. I actually had to do some research, and I actually found it from guys who do model rocket competitions. And that's how the way we fold the parachute is the same way they fold the parachute, because it's designed to just fall out the way it's folded instead of just being wadded up in a ball or anything. So it's designed to just slip out and come apart whenever it makes contact with the air. Oh, highlights. Probably the first time we launched a two-stage was my favorite moment because we were having some problems with the timing and getting the second igniter to actually light. But once we got the timing down and we were finally able to put a second engine in there and seeing one go, the booster fall off, and then seeing the second stage still going with another engine light, that was probably my favorite moment so far.
Crash that one too.
Yeah, that one had a couple crashes before we got it right too.
Yeah, that one's behind us. For me, like low lights, all the design changes from a building and design perspective, like it was really frustrating for us because like you have this like, this is how you build the rocket. So we build the rocket, we make the video, we take the documentation, and then we're like, well, we could do it better this way. And then you're like, that's great. But now I have to backtrack. I have to make the changes so that we don't submit the wrong information forward. So we have to make changes every single time there's a design change. So as a development and building team, any type of changes really, really slows us down. I mean, Lee's been working with the landers, and every single time there's a lander change, like fundamentally everything changes about it. Like you change a single thing and then you have to run open rockets again. You have to redesign things. So it's just like every time it's just a hassle. But like, it has to happen because you need to be developing and making the product better because we want to make it as effective, as consistent, and as safe as possible for students and other people to be using as well. As for the highlights, I think I think probably the 2-stage for me too. The 2-stage is really, really incredible. Like maybe like the initial, like doing like the single stage rockets, that was really cool. But like watching the 2-stage go off for the first time, there's like so many different things that we've been working on for so long. And they're all coming together, and it's like one rocket, then the second rocket, and both parachutes deployed perfectly. Like the timing was right, the parachutes were right. It was a clean launch. Like everything was just good. So I think that's probably one of my fondest memories about the project as of yet.
Awesome. And you guys have mentioned, failures quite a bit during this whole design process. Do you have a general idea of, how many of these launches, did end up in some sort of failure that needed to be changed?
I've lost track.
Probably like six or seven.
Yeah.
I mean, like the rocket you see behind us, like that one got crashed a couple of towards the top of the rack. That one's been crashed a couple of times, and we pretty much got to the point where we couldn't use anymore. So we pretty much just disassembled it. We've crashed multiple single stages were the most difficult because it was just the parachute
problems at first.
Yeah.
So we crashed those the most. 2-stage, it was only about one or two. I think it was two.
Because we had that the angle.
Yeah.
The angle issue with the timer, so that the timer wouldn't deploy the second rocket. So then it just wasn't the same rocket that it should have been. Then just like parachutes getting stuck or bulkheads it's always something.
Yeah,
so
right.
But you learn from each of them, and then ultimately that's what leads to making the rockets better and safer for everyone. So
we like almost, I think we've maybe done it once, but like pretty much once you like fundamentally like find out what you messed up the first time, like we generally don't double back and make the same mistake.
Yeah. That was kind of the reason I asked, because I know a lot of people probably assume that, you design something super rigorously and it's supposed to work perfectly the first time. So, and obviously,
No.
right.
Not even close.
Right. Yeah. So I thought that was good to have in there just from, you guys have personal experience with that. Yeah. So, I mean, kind of following on with the same general idea that we touched a little bit here. Are there any things that you think you're going to take away from the project, like learning experiences, lessons, and so on? I know we just talked a little bit about some of the failures and whatnot, but.
Definitely communication and trying to keep everyone in the group in the loop on to what we're working on. Because for me, I've been building the rocket hardware and all that, but I don't ever really touch the electronics space so much, but I have to make the electronics bay fit in the rocket, get all that integrated, learning how to type up weekly or monthly reports as to status and timelines and where are we going to be in the future, like where are we going, looking ahead. I mean, really just communication and more teamwork than what was used to in the past.
Yeah, I mean, for me, documentation was something I was a little bit familiar with. Just trying to pretty much keeping your like your employers like kind of on par with where you are, the difficulties that you're having, and being able to take those issues and passing them up. That was something I was a little familiar with, but like being in this project, like and having such open communication with both of our leaders, like that was super super important and super beneficial for us because we can approach them with issues that I think that are going wrong with the project, things that I need help with, maybe design ideas to kind of bounce stuff off because they're both incredibly intelligent people. So having someone there like a kind of like a structured um, kind of like a leadership position was really, really beneficial. Secondly, I would say the design aspect. I've never had a design aspect where I'm developing something. Kind of had a lot of like clean cut, straight to the point. Do this, go here, do this right this way. This definitely gave me a little bit more of like a freedom to kind of like use your imagination, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then sometimes it doesn't work. Like, but that's part of the design process. So I feel like from a design aspect, this was my first experience with that. And I feel like I've gained a lot of very, very valuable information and knowledge from this.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys also brought up some of those soft skills, especially like communication, and then dealing with like documentation and whatnot, because that's also something I think a lot of people overlook when thinking about engineering, but it's one of the most important things for sure. So yeah. All right, yeah, next, I guess, more just like personal, away from the project a little bit, what each of you plans on doing after your degree. Do you have a job you're hoping to get into? Or are you planning to go to grad school and keep pursuing your education? Or do you even know yet? Yeah.
For me, I want to do grad school in the future, but I really want to get a job first. And I really want to stick in like the aerospace and aviation industry because prior to coming to college, I was in the Air Force for 6 years. So I have a ton of experience working on planes and jet engines and those kind of things. So I just want to take those skills and my newly developed mechanical engineering skills and put those to use in industry first.
As for me, I'm a electrical engineering, so like I want to work with power and renewable energy, things of that nature. That's the stuff that really gets me excited. So I'm hoping to get employment with some of the larger power companies here in St. Louis. I'm looking at Ameren, Spire, um, big companies like that. Hopefully, trying to kind of move forward with that. As for graduate school, I hope to pretty much roll immediately into that to finish my bachelor's and then do graduate school part time, and then have a full time employment.
Yeah, and then in terms of obviously with these courses, they're very tailored towards high school students kind of looking to get into engineering, hopefully, and seeing the path that they're going to take down the road. Do you each of you have any advice just from your own experience of people who want to pursue a similar path in engineering, or anything you wish you would have known coming into college and kind of where you are today?
Definitely study habits. Studying in high school is not the same way you should study in college. College is more rigorous. Definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. So that leads back to just working on communication and being able to coherently ask questions. That way, you and the professor are on the same page as to what you're confused about with material.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, for we talked about this question before. Yeah, being able to um, learning your study habits, like just sitting down in front of a textbook for 6 straight hours doesn't work for everybody. And some people study for an hour, walk away, come back, and they keep studying for another hour and walk away. Like finding your rhythm, like for me, like I can sit down and I can study for 8 straight hours. It doesn't phase me. But I have to be close to whenever I'm taking the exam. So it's kind of like stuff that works for me. Don't procrastinate. That's
I can attest to that.
Yeah, me too.
that one will come back and bite you. So as a entry perspective of a college student, procrastination will absolutely catch up with you. you won't be able to submit good work. I mean, there's a line of working well under stress and being stressed while working. So yeah, I would say that those two are my biggest takeaways and kind of stuff that I really had really solidified in my brain before I actually hit to the point where like being like a sophomore or a junior.
Right. Yeah. That's been a pretty common answer. And yeah, I 100% agree. Because yeah, once you get to college, it's very hands off. You're kind of on your own. So you got to really develop those habits. Yeah. So sort of the main question that I have left is just outside of engineering as a whole, just again, on a personal level, what are some other things that interest you guys? Any unique interests or hobbies outside of just purely, technical stuff that you do on a pretty regular basis?
I just like being outside, honestly. I hunt, fish, love to hike. It's just relaxing. You don't really have to think a whole lot while you're out there. You just enjoy the outdoors. Just helps me unwind quite a bit. But anything outside, I love to do.
I like kind of tinkering with electronics, like kind of like doing like little projects here and there. Sometimes it's school related, sometimes it's not. I enjoy playing baseball, being outside, running, hiking. I love dogs. Yeah, casual stuff. I'm crazy.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
Take care, man.